All right, now Middle East's largest alternative asset management firm, Bahrain-based Investcorp, which manages over $42 billion in assets globally, is looking to aggressively ramp up investments in India. It forayed into the alternative investment space in India with the acquisition of IDFC Alternatives in 2019, and since 2017, it has deployed nearly $500 million in India across private equity and real estate, of which around $260 million is across 13 private equity investments. Now, these PE investments include Wingreens, Bewakoof.com, Zolo, InCred, Xpressbees, among others. And the company hopes to double its current investment in India to $1 billion over a period of time. To talk about INVESTCORP'S investment plans for India and a lot more, joining me now are two special guests, Mohammad Alardi, the Executive Chairman of INVESTCORP, and Rishi Kapoor, the co-CEO of the company. Mr. Alardi and Mr. Kapoor, thank you very much for your time and welcome on the show. Mr. Alardi, let me begin with you because, India represents about less than 2% of your total assets under management of $42 billion. What is the growth opportunity you see in India? About $500 million of investments currently. How much more are you looking to deploy?
Thank you for having us on your show. Like you said, we started in 2019, and so far in less than 4 years, we're almost doubling our AUM. We have invested in 14 companies. We own about 30 million feet of asset real estate, and we are looking to do more. Obviously, the story of India is really very compelling for us for the long term. The demographics, the environment that are transforming and changing, whether the digital transformation, the regulatory, the stability in politics, all these things are really makes India a very good market for us for the long term.
All right, India, a compelling market for the long term. Mr. Kapoor, let me come to you. What is central to your India investment strategy? When we talk about startups especially, what sectors are you most bullish on and where are you looking to invest?
Sure. Let me start off by echoing the word of thanks from our chairman earlier, Ritu. Thanks for having us on your show. In terms of our forward-looking strategy, I don't think it'll come as a surprise to any of your viewers that it is probably going to follow or mimic very closely the evolution of the aspirational digitally enabled consumer that is less than 30 years of age in India, that is going into the middle class, moving into urban centers across the country, and is looking to acquire and access goods and services of a reasonable quality at an affordable price point. And that spans pretty much everything that you can possibly think of, Ritu. It's not just about the latest electronic gadget. It's also things like food. It's things like healthcare and wellness. It's things like education and continued learning. So all of these are areas of focus for us, all following as I said earlier, the evolution of the digitally enabled, digitally native consumer. But behind that, of course, it creates an equally compelling opportunity in B2B sectors as well. And not surprisingly, therefore, for us, direct consumer and consumer-based businesses, healthcare-focused businesses, financial services-related businesses, and IT services businesses become the natural go-to destinations, as in terms of our investment strategy. Alongside that, the enablers that, enhance that ecosystem of digital delivery, including logistics services providers and warehouse and logistics platforms, are an equally compelling investment opportunity for us.
Yeah. Mr. Kapoor, if I could quickly ask you, any names you could share with us, any deals in the offing in the near term?
A deal is never done till it's done, Ritu, so it's hard to talk about on a speculative basis future deals. But some of the recent investments we've made, are exactly synchronous with those themes.
All right, Mr. Lardi, let me come back to you. Given how global macros are shaping up, central banks are aggressively hiking rates to contain inflation. There is a global shift away from easy money, and this has impacted investments everywhere. We saw the tech stock sell off in the US, and the same trend was mirrored in India. In this current environment, what should investors be most wary of? And secondly, valuation multiples, are they expected to contract significantly from here on?
So, I mean, obviously, these are volatile times in the capital, in the public markets, and it won't be a surprise to have maybe more correction. But the private markets and the alternatives, where the space that we invest in, has actually maybe taken advantage of this by receiving a lot of money being invested in the private equity, in the real estate, and the other alternative space. We are about, over $43 billion, as you said, across markets and across asset classes. We always say to our investors that diversification is really very important, and that's what we're concentrating on.
All right, diversification is important, but Mr. Kapoor, quickly, since we're running out of time, I understand you look at exits only after a 4 to 6 year period, but you have invested in some companies where you've got handsome returns. They've become unicorns now, a bunch of startups that you put money in. Any exits around the corner?
We will continue to opportunistically evaluate exit opportunities for sure within our existing portfolio. There's no doubt about that. And you're right, some of the companies that we've invested in over the last couple of years have already achieved unicorn status. But the good news is they continue to grow, and they continue to grow in a very profitable and high, fast-paced fashion. So there is more opportunity ahead than not. And so, timing the exit to be optimal in terms of value realization and return of proceeds to our investors is going to be important. And I think over the course of the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months, we should anticipate at least a couple of additional exits from our portfolio, maybe even 3.
All right, so a couple of exits, maybe even 3 over the next few in the near term. Mr. Kapoor and Mr. Lardi, that's all the time we have on the show. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking.